video will probably be directed at some of the people who might put me down for a different reason, and it's atheists. Now, if you're to ask the average atheist about my work, they'd say, well, it doesn't matter because he doesn't have a degree. You see, this is a big problem with atheists and materialists and reductionists. They actually limit themselves in life by discounting life experience from everything and believing that the only path to knowledge is handed through a degree or a doctorate or some kind of formal thing. In many cases, such as, you know, sciences and being a doctor and lots of other things, engineering, you do need that. In other things, life experience is fine. It's good enough. And it's not the whole story, but it's good enough to help in some aspects or levels of understanding. And unfortunately, these people are so brainwashed into believing, unless there's a PhD after their letters or they went to Oxford or University or Caltech, they can't be taken seriously. And this causes them damage. And I'll give you a good example of one of the ways it causes them damage. I think a sizable number of the high suicide, and some people doubted my video the other day about high suicide rates in atheists. No, it's out there. The Huffington Post and I think the Atlantic magazine did some phenomenal articles for the Huffington Post, especially. That's basically stupid, on the topic, written by and you know, it's massive compared to people, and it's nearly all males. Now, I think a big part of this is atheistic males being targeted by psychopathic, borderline, or histrionic or narcissistic females. And I think it's very common. And because the experience happens to them, when it's over, I know this sounds stupid to you, but there is a spiritual dimension to your personality, and it plays a huge part in things such as creativity and struggling out of trauma. Even if it's not true, and even if it's all woo, it's still a useful tool to aid you towards recovery. You know, and you can't just sit there saying, I'm going through these feelings just because my chemical imbalances are all over the place. Yes, that's true to an extent, but it's not the full story. Now, why are borderline atheist, borderline narcissistic, psychopathic, and histrionic women attracted to atheists? Several reasons. Often atheist males are responsible citizens. In general, they have good paying jobs, they work hard, they've studied to get their degrees, and they are generally you know, you meet very few atheist criminals, or, you know, they tend to be good, honest members of society. And that's one of the things I really admire about atheists in that sense. So therefore there's a steady income. Secondly, there's a sort of a cachet, a kind of a gravitas these days in atheism, where it's considered like if you're atheist, you're better than the average person who's a dumb Christian. And I do, you know me, I have no time for Christianity or Islam or anything like that. And so therefore you're seen as a kind of an attractive person in a modern, technologically focused society, as a kind of a male arm candy. Thirdly, a lot of atheist males don't, especially if they come out of a kind of a nerdy background, and you know, they don't have great success with women. Suddenly this woman who might be very attractive is throwing herself at him and telling him how brainy, intelligent, and scientific he is. Love bombs the shit out of the guy, and the guy for the first time in his life is experiencing love beyond that of a theoretical idea. It's absolutely intoxicating. He may be getting all this amazing sex still at the same time. Constant love bombing, constant this, constant attention, constant being told he's wonderful, and it goes on and on. He may actually, for the first time in his life, relax, because whether you atheist males want to admit it or not, your lifestyle comes with an inherent sense of tension. That tension comes from feeling that you're somehow oppressed in society, when in reality you're not, and that you have to constantly defend your atheistic beliefs. Look, you don't have to defend them at all. If you're an atheist, that's just the end of it. And unless you live in Saudi Arabia or somewhere like that. So this goes on, and then she eventually does the classic thing. She evaluates him, devaluates him, and dumps him suddenly out of the blue, and moves on to her next soulmate, who'll be on Facebook, who for all intents and purposes could be a Baptist minister or a New Age guy or something like that. And the atheist guy is going, what the hell happened? What what is going on here? What has happened to me in my life? How does she suddenly devalue me? And suddenly one minute I'm the greatest thing in the world, and the next minute I'm nothing. And that's because you've served your purpose and you have no other interest. You're no other interest, this person, and you've been devalued. And because you're an atheist, you don't have this kind of need to find a spiritual path out of it. And this is very important in the recovery from these things. Now, even if you don't believe in it, this is used, like, you look at my documentaries and my videos on things like the Jungian idea, or the Joycean idea or the Campbell-esque idea of the hero's journey, someone pulling themselves out of the end of a traumatic experience, in a very spiritual sense, in a very pagan sense, I might add, by identifying with certain archetypes in paganism or in legend or in mythology. You see, this is one of the things you don't understand with pagans like me. We don't actually believe these beings are actually real. They're archetypal representations. Just look at the Satanists. Well, we're the same way with like gods and goddesses. They're archetypal representations of natural forces and aspects of the consciousness that allow us to, survive in this fucked up world. And unfortunately, atheists, because they discount all this stuff as nonsense, Brian Cox recently was even say that philosophy should be removed from university curriculum because it's irrelevant. And this is frightening talk. These are robots now. We're dealing with the rise of the fucking flesh robots here now. You need a path to recovery that's more than this. And I think this plays a huge role in the high suicide rates among male atheists. They've probably been targeted by these women. What can you do about it? I don't know how to tell you how to recover. I hope you do, and I wish you the best of luck. I know most of you are decent human beings and you deserve better. But also, I would suggest that if one of these women comes into your life who's praising you to the hilt like you're the next Isaac Newton, or someone like Einstein or Tesla, you be very wary of these women and what their associations are. Look up their past, see what their previous boyfriends were like. Check them out for all the usual traits: missing, not around a lot of the time, the instant love bombing, why they're love bombing you, are they telling you the truth, and so on. And that's, I'm giving you this as I know the comments here are going to be flooded with atheists going, "You're a fucking asshole. You don't know what you're talking about. Where's your craft?" But take it from me, lads, okay? I'm trying to do something out of decency, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. Just be fucking careful.